about to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we discovered you don't have a favorite book, but you have a favorite. Well, you like comic
I
books.
love reading in
Tell me
general.
about comic.
But yeah, I would say my favorite reading material are comic books. And specifically like X-Men. I remember buying my first comic book when I was I think I was like 10. And I used money I had saved up and I bought, it was the number one issue of Gambit. It was his first limited series. Um, yeah, that was like the first comic book I owned. And then I ended up buying over the years over 10,000 comic books.
Where do you keep them?
So I keep them in a storage unit that gets expensive every 6 months. It increases in rent, and so it's, I question sometimes why I bought so many comic books. But yeah, I mean X-Men for sure. Like since I was a little kid, my brother used to read them, and that's how I got into them. I would read his comic books. I would just like sneak into his room when he was at work, and I'd like raid his stash of comic books, and I'd read them, and I would read some I wasn't supposed to open.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't see this.
I hope you don't watch.
Yeah. Yeah, he would. I would raid the comic books that he had, and I got fascinated by it ever since. I mean, I was like 5 or 6 year old when I was doing this, and yeah, I mean, X-Men was what he read, and so by association, it's kind of what I learned to love to read, and there's a lot that I can relate to in the messaging of those comic books.
It's well, yeah, like different style. You got the images. You like develop. Tell me, as like someone who doesn't read that many comic books,
Okay.
if you wanted to tell them like why, hey, like you should try it out, or you might be into this because you develop
I mean,
a kind of a.
if you really think about it,
Yeah.
the oldest forms of literature are probably more closely associated with comic books than anything else. If you think about hieroglyphics, I mean, it's art and literature in a way. So you can think of comic books as just an extension of some of the oldest like literature that exists in the world. So you can read it because of that reason. But honestly, like it's it's like reading a novel, but the art allows you to really see the the writer's vision,
Yeah.
the way they meant for it to be seen, as opposed to sort of you envisioning and creating your story. So I think it's nice to see like this is what they were trying to tell you. Because sometimes when I'm reading books, I have my own version of events, how how the characters would appear, how the landscape and the environment would appear, and sometimes I'm way off. So I think it's nice to read a comic book and see like this is what they intended. And it's beautiful, honestly. Like the artwork's beautiful, the colors are beautiful, like the use of ink and digital technology, especially nowadays. So
You are creative. I get the feeling.
a little bit.
Yeah? Would you
Yeah,
say?
Yeah. I mean, I used to be a photographer. I don't shoot anymore, but I work in film. Yeah.
So you're able to appreciate kind of the.
I do.
Not only, of course, like the story, but then the aesthetic presentation
100%.
of it.
Yeah. So I think it's important to enjoy what you read or listen to. I'm listening to music, not right now, but yeah, you got to get something. You have to connect to it, and so as long as you connect to it, really, it doesn't matter what form it appears in, whether it's in books or magazines or novels or newspapers. Like people like to read and enjoy reading different types of mediums.
So last question. A series you recommend? Like a comic book?
Okay, so I'm gonna say X-Men.
You like X?
But if you want to try something, Why the Last Man, which actually I think they turned it into a TV show, but
really?
the series by Brian K. Vaughan, really, really good. I would definitely recommend that. Fables is another one. If you are more into like, I don't know what you call it. It's not sci-fi literature. It's more like kids' tales, but like adult version of kids' tales. So that's a really good series, Fables. These have been out for a long time. You can buy them in like stacks of like graphic novels. So yeah, I'd recommend those three.
Thank you so much
Yeah, thank
for
you.
your
I
time.
appreciate it. Good luck. Where